Hi, Todd Martin here with The Walking Code. In my most recent video, I discussed the concept of how to speed up and slow down when we're walking. In this video, I'm going to take the idea of slowing down a little bit further and look at how we stop. Now, I know this seems kind of like an obvious thing, but stopping is no different than walking in that we have to use our core properly. And if we stop incorrectly, we're probably going to be stopping with incorrect posture. So we need to know how to start walking correctly and stop walking correctly in order to really move effectively. That's what we're going to discuss in this video. I probably have discussed this in smaller detail in other videos, but I'm going to dedicate this video particularly to the idea of stopping. One of the 13 essential principles in Tai Chi is movement and stillness present at the same time. This may seem like a very esoteric sort of principle, but it really is absolutely true when it comes to movement of the body. When we are moving, whether we are walking, we're running, or doing any other activity, what we're doing is rotating our core in some sort of sequence that gets the body to move forward. Stopping is no different than moving in that I am moving my core in a way that just gets me to a position which we refer to as stopping. But when I stop, that doesn't mean I have disengaged the rotation of my core. I am rotating the core when I stop just as much as I'm rotating the core when I walk. Let me give you an example of how this works. I'm going to step back. When I'm walking, what I'm doing after I finish the leg swing with my left leg and right arm going forward, I'm going to rotate my upper part of the core or the chest forward on the left in order to bring my heel to the ground. Then I'm going to tuck my pelvis to shift my weight forward, and then I'm going to lift from my hip to complete the step. And then I turn on the right side, tuck on the right side, and lift on the right side. In my other videos, I've referred to this as turn, tuck, lift, turn, tuck, lift. That is the sequence of walking as it pertains to the core rotation. I begin with a turn of the chest, a tuck of the pelvis, a lift of the hip. Turn of the chest, tuck of the pelvis, lift of the hip. That allows me to continue walking as I repeat that cycle over and over again. I mentioned in my previous video that we can slow the speed down or speed up by changing the tempo of the rotation. So if I turn, tuck, lift very slowly, I will be walking very slowly. If I turn, tuck, lift quickly, I'll be walking quickly. Now, how do we stop walking? When we want to stop, what we're going to do is, let's say my left leg is forward, I'm going to turn, that places my heel on the ground. Then, instead of tucking and then lifting, I'm going to do the tuck and lift simultaneously. Tuck and lift, that's going to bring my body rise up, extending my left knee until I reach a stopping position. Then I'm going to take the right side of my core, my chest, turn it forward, and that's going to close the right leg. So now my feet are together and I'm essentially in a stopped position. I can then change my weight to my right leg and I have a full stop. Looking at it sideways, it's going to look a little bit more clear. My left heel is off the ground. I turn. Normally, if I'm walking, I would tuck. That's going to shift my weight forward with a flexed knee. That would be the loading response phase of a step. Then I would lift from the hip, then turn, tuck, lift, and continue forward. When I'm going to stop, as soon as I turn and place my heel, now the tuck and lift come at the same time, and that's going to raise my body height up to a standing height. You'll see my right leg is still hanging a little bit behind the body. that requires me to turn my upper torso or my chest forward on the right, and that's going to bring my right leg together. And then now I'm going to settle the weight by tucking on the right, and now my weight is going to be on the right leg. So I'm standing with normal posture. All the weight is situated on the right because that's where the tuck is. So again, we have turn, tuck, lift to step. And then in order to stop, we have turn to get the heel down, tuck and lift all at the same time. So we are bypassing the loading response phase of the step. That's the phase of the step between the placement of the heel and the shifting of the weight to the flat foot. We're going to bypass that step and go right to a lifting action, and then close the feet together and change weight. It's very helpful to understand this because not only do we have to know how to stop, but we also have to know how to restart. And it appears when I'm standing here in a neutral position that my spine is centered, but I actually have my root, or my actual energy weight, not my mass, but my energy, in one leg. If I have risen on my left leg, closed the chest, and then tucked under on my right, now my weight is on my right leg. If I want to start walking again, I have to shift weight with the turn and tuck to the left side and then lift, and I can begin walking with the right leg swinging forward. If I have my right leg weighted and I try to step off on my right leg, meaning swinging my left leg forward, I'm going to end up with a barrier. I can't go anywhere. I already have the pelvic rotational energy that I need for taking a step engaged in the standing position. So there's not enough rotational energy left for me to step forward with my left leg. My weight in this stopped position is already on the right, which means I already have a relative rotation of my waist towards that right leg. That's the sort of rotation that is required for me to take the next step. So there's not enough there. If I do this sideways, my weight's on the right. If I try to change weight, which is how we normally walk, I've already mentioned my weight's already on the right, so I can't change weight there. All I can do is lift my left hip and then try to walk, and you'll just get this rocking motion unless you do this, which is pitch forward and let gravity try to take you. That is why some people fall into the habit of falling forward or pitching forward when they walk, because they're starting on the wrong foot. I addressed this in my video previously of how to get off on the right foot. That is related to what I'm talking about right now, but right now I'm relating this to the idea of stopping and restarting. We didn't address stopping in that previous video. So if I'm stepping forward on my left leg forward, turn to bring the heel down, tuck and lift at the same time. So if you can see how that works, that's a tuck of the pelvis, and then I'm gonna flex my hip at the same time. So it's actually acting like a catapult, because my hip is in this position since I've tucked the pelvis. As I catapult the hip by flexing it, it pulls the body up. What happens when we're doing this in real time is the tuck and the catapult of the hip flexion occur simultaneously, so all you see is the rise up. You can't see where the energy is coming from as I go from here to the rise. It just looks like I've floated upwards, and it should feel like you're floating upwards, but that is a combination of two different energies in the core as well as your energy in your hip joint. The core energy is going to be lower abs tucking, hip flexing, and then upper torso or the chest turning forward, all on the same side. That's going to bring you up. As I'm walking, I have a leg swing with the left leg, rotate the torso, the chest, to bring the heel down, At that time, I'm going to lift with my hip and tuck the pelvis. I'm continuing to turn the chest forward on the left. That brings me up. Turn the chest in the opposite direction to close my right foot, and then tuck to bring my heel down to the ground. That bringing the heel down to the ground is settling the weight, changing the weight, the actual energy of the weight to that right leg. Now my left leg is free. My spine is centered, so it doesn't appear like my left leg is free, but it is not rooted to the ground. My root is now on the right leg. So in order to step again, I change the root to the left. Now I can step forward. Practice this motion. Practice starting and stopping, and see if you can do it consciously. See if you can pick what leg you're going to start and stop on, and see if you can switch back and forth and do this comfortably. If you can't do it comfortably, that means you're not really fully consciously aware of what's going on with your core, and that's going to take a little bit of practice. That practice is really going to pay off for your comfort when you're moving. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber, and click on the bell to get notifications for my future videos. Thank you very much. Please do leave comments. That always helps out. And also let me know in those comments what other topics you're interested in.